Good afternoon and welcome everyone. My name is Venugopal. I am a practicing chartered accountant. I welcome you all to today's session on GST annual returns filing using GSTZen software. We all know annual return is the annual exercise, and after filing our statutory audit, tax audit, income tax audit, the most awaited work which the finance professionals will have is the GST annual returns. So today's session, we are going to see about how we can leverage the automations of GSTZen to simplify our GST return filing process. And I'm sure most of you would have experienced filing of GST returns, annual returns. Some of you would have getting it done through a third party, and maybe you're doing it for the first time. So we might have participants mix from different parts. What I have thought is it would be appropriate to briefly introduce for 10 minutes on the procedures for the annual return, understand those procedures, then walk you through the practical aspects. Feel free to ask the questions to make sure that all your questions are addressed and answered. Okay, because after the session, when you look at the form and when you are actually doing the form, there are many things that would come up. So put your questions in the chat, and appropriately, if you want to ask the question, you can raise the hand, we can unmute you. Since there are a number of participants, to avoid disturbance, we have muted you. But whenever you raise a hand, some of our team members will help you on muting it. So with me, we have Surya Subramaniam. He is the founder from GSTZen, and Srivatsa and Bharti to support wherever required. And Surya, a few words.
Hello everybody, this is the second webinar that we are having this year for filing annual returns. I'm grateful to have Venugopal Gella with me. He has been a great support for us for the you have a great experience. Make it interactive and ask your questions and have clarity of mind when you leave this.
Thank you, Surya. So let us start the session, and we will be starting with firstly understanding what is the annual return, the legal provisions related to it, and I would be explaining after the legal provision. This would be a theory part, and the rest of the subjects we will be doing live. We will take walkthrough as a case study, and we will see how to file the annual return. This is what we are going to see. Of course, GSTR 9C. 9C is more to do with the reporting, less of workings, but I'll walk you through what would be the 9Cs. Just to start with the legal provisions, we all know Section 44, subsection 1 requires every registered person other than the ISD, TDS, TCS, or composition dealer, non-resident dealer required to file an annual return, and it would include, okay, how I have written it as bold is it is optional based on the turnover, a self-certified reconciliation statement. And earlier this was GSTR 9C, which was a certified by a chartered accountant. Now it has moved to a self-certified. Earlier it was to be certified by a chartered accountant. Now this has become a self-certified. So a self-certified, which is optional based on the turnover, and wherever it is required, so you will be filing it along with audited financial statements and in the such form as it is prescribed. The form we all know is GSTR 9. If you are a regular registered person, it is GSTR 9, and a composition dealer, it would be 9A. TCS is 9B, which is right now not there. All right. So, but on the portal for the composition dealer, GSTR 4 is sufficient, because up to 2 crores turnover, there is an exception given. So people who is having turnover up to 2 crores, they don't need to file anything. Everything is optional. But whose turnover is between 2 to 5 crores, if the turnover is 2 crores to 5 crores, GSTR 9 is mandatory. GSTR 9 is an optional. You want to file it, you can file it, but it is optional. But if your turnover is more than 5 crores, if it is exceeding 5 crores, both 9 and 9C is mandatory. Now, please note, some of you have a notion that, okay, if I file 9C is 9 is not required. No, both are an independent document. What is the due date? For the financial year 2021, as of now, the due date is 31st December 21. So will it get extended is the common question that I get. As of now, this is the due date, and basis the number of filings and everything, the scenario would be changing. But I would always suggest not waiting for extension. One should be filing the returns on time. Let's understand what is there in GSTR 9. So if we conceptually understand the GSTR 9, filing of it is pretty simple and easy. First of all, we should really appreciate the draftsman for doing a wonderful job of preparing the GSTR 9 in a more logical way. GSTR 9 is divided into 6 parts. Part 1, any of basic information. So the first and foremost thing one would want to know is liability. So part 2 would capture the liability. It has 2 tables, table 4 and table 5. Table 4 will be talking about the turnover on which there is a tax liability. Table 5 would be talking about the turnover on which there is no tax liability. However, we know when there is a liability, there is something called reverse charge RCM. So even that is captured here. After my part 2, the next thing is obvious is the part 3, which is input tax credit. Now, input tax credit is what you have availed. How much is the credit that you have availed? You would be reporting it into table 6. And if something you have reversed, you will be reporting it in table 7. Government wants a reconciliation between the GSTR 2A and the credits that you have availed. So the reconciliation is furnished in table 8. So there are 3 tables. After your liability and input tax credit, the obvious thing is the tax, how much has to be paid and how it has been paid. So the tax payable and paid details are captured in table 9. Ideally, GSTR 9 should have got closed between these 3 parts. But we all know under GST, there's no concept of revising a return once it is filed. Once you have filed a return, you cannot revise it. So that is where we have the circular 26, which said that if you have made any mistake, especially in GSTR 3B, in terms of short remittance of the taxes or excess remittance of the taxes, you can adjust it in the next month, next tax period. So between a spillover that happened from say financial year 2021, 1st April 22 March 21, and these corrections have happened in the subsequent period. Does the GST law provides? Of course, both section 37 and 39 permits you to make corrections in the errors that are there in the return till September of the next financial year. Whatever the corrections that are there that have been captured in part 5. At least with this annual return should have got over. But we all know, even in GSTR 1, like table 13, table 12, there is an additional information asked. GST portal wanted some additional information with regards to either the refunds and demands, which is captured in table 15, or the goods which have been sent and not received is captured in table 16. Outward summary on HSN in table 17, inward HSN summary in table 18, late fees that needs to be paid in table 19. This is how GSTR 9 has been designed. And what is the most important thing if one has to ask about filing of GSTR 9C is GSTR 9C an independent document? Where does that come from? In fact, GSTR 9C is a combination of the data moving from GSTR 9 books of accounts is what you will be preparing for. So let's quickly look at 9C before we get on to the practical filing. 9C is prepared using GSTR 9 and your audited financial statements. And we now saw 9 is prepared based on 3B adjustment books of accounts. So it is derivative of it. So 9C is further culminated from 9 and audited financial statements, a reconciliation of it. What is the context of preparing 9 or 9C? It's all about the tax payment, tax that you are liable to pay and how much you have paid. Okay. Someone has messaged me that voice is not audible. I just request everyone to check because it's clear. In case if you're hearing me properly, you can just type as yes in the chat. Perfect. So I got the response that the sound is clear. So those it is not clear, I would request check it your end. Thank you. Okay. So let's understand the premise of preparing annual returns or the 9C. See, what is the department or everyone who is coming for assessment? What is that they're looking at? They are looking at, are you complying with the law? Now, if I have to put it in little more layman language, have you paid the taxes properly? Right? Now, if someone has to ask how much I have to pay the tax, so it is obviously what is your net tax that you have to pay. That's what government is also looking at. How do I get net tax? The gross liability minus input tax credit. And what is my gross liability? It is my turnover multiplied by rate of tax. But is it really the turnover multiplied by rate of tax? Answer is no, because only taxable turnover multiplied by the rate of tax. I'm not talking about all the turnover. How do I get my taxable turnover? So I have to eliminate exemptions from my aggregate turnover. That's where I get my taxable turnover. And when they're talking about input tax credit, they are not talking about all input tax credit. They're only talking about your eligible input tax credit. Right? Now, these which are there, you have to first prepare all your workings. If there are any carry forward, there are the adjustments, your HSN classifications, all the workings that are there around it, that needs to be built on. That is how your 9C comes in. In fact, whatever right now you are seeing on the screen, the GSTR 9C is also prepared in the same format. And again, I would say that draftsmen have done a beautiful job in drafting it. 9C has been divided into 5 parts. Basically, the part 1 is always about basic information, like how section 2 of any act is talking about definitions. So this is just an intro, who is filing which year, all those things. So part 2 has tables for reconciliation of your turnover. Table 5 reconciling gross turnover, and if there are any differences, the reconciliation explained in table 6. But what we are interested in is the taxable turnover. So table 6 is about the reconciliation and table 7 is about the actual taxable turnover. Table 7 is about actual taxable turnover. So if the taxable turnover, what you have prepared is not matching, then the table reconciliation for the table 7 is in table 8. That's how the turnover is reconciled. I might have reported the correct turnover, but the tax rate I have adopted might be wrong. Like I said, yes, okay, my turnover is 1 crore, liable to tax, it is fine, but the SSE has paid the taxes at 12% as against 18%. So in my table 9, I will reconcile and report what is the taxable rate-wise bifurcation of my turnover. If that is matching with the liability that I'm paying, perfectly fine. If there is any difference, I'll report it in table 10. Any owing to all these differences, any liability that is now payable, it is now discovered and SSE wants to disclose, the taxpayer wants to disclose, that would be reported in table 11. Now, the part 4 is on input tax credit reconciliation. Government wanted a multi-facet reconciliation. First, the credit that you have taken, is it there at all in the books of accounts? That's there in table 12. And if it's not there, you will give an explanation in table 13. More so, yes, credit is there, but is it eligible? So the credit is bifurcated into expenditure wise and it is reported in table 14. Expenditure wise, whether eligible, not eligible, is there in table 14. Now, after reporting it, what you have actually availed versus what is eligible for, you will give that explanation if there is any difference in table 15. Owing to these reconciliation, if there is a liability, you will report it in table 16. Finally, you will consolidate the liability from table 11 and 16 and report into part 5. Earlier, this was titled as auditor's recommendation. Now that has been moved to a self-certification mode. Friends, this is all about GSTR 9 and 9C when I come to the theory part. Any questions to anyone at this point? You can feel free to ask your question. I would be moving to the demo. Okay, someone is asking about PPT. To the registered email ID, you'll be getting a copy of this. All right, so let me share my screen. Okay, there someone has raised a hand. Let's look at. No, it is done. While filing GSTR 3B, if we have mentioned wrong taxable value and output taxes had gone correct, how do we rectify the taxable turnover? GSTR 9, the annual return, is the last option, Mr. Santosh, for you to rectify. We are going to cover how do we do that. Okay, so let me now move to okay. You can always log in to GSTZen account. If you have not created a GSTZen account, please create the URL is my.gstzn.in. You can log in there and subscribe and create an account. In fact, participants of today's session, you will be getting a free pass to explore and file your annual returns. I would request Bharti or anyone to share the credentials and the link in the chat maybe later, so that how they can access it.
Screen is showing the presentation.
Here is the URL of the GSTZen, my.gstzn.in, and you can create an account in case if you do not have an account here. Let me log in to the GSTZen account. So once you log in, you'll be seeing list of clients that you have created. Right. So here is the GSTZen account which we are going to use today for filing of the GST returns. In fact, in the GSTZen, you have multiple options of how you will be handling the much data. You can actually click on the manage those who are freshly registering. You can click on avail webinar pass to get the code for activating to file your GST annual return freely. Only this is only for people who have attended the webinar. It is for them. So you get a free pass for a period of 24 hours. Okay. You can do actually multiple things when after you log in. You can download a report. So the beauty of it, in one go, it will connect to the government portal, download all the reports. This is one feature which I always like from GSTZen, because if I have to do myself, I have to wait 15 minutes. So each month, if I have to do, it is 15 minutes and it is very difficult. Better you actually subscribe, use technology. I always advise people to use technology. Let me show how this works. Let me show how this works. Okay. You can click on the consolidated report GSTR 1 versus 2A versus 2B. You can select any financial year. You know, it automatically connects to the government portal. Since we are filing for financial year 2020-21, why do I need 21-22? Friends, let me tell you, you would be needing 3 years data. What is the 3 years data? 1920, 2021, 21-22. Okay. So I'll actually, let me take you to GSTR 9 filing itself. Let me, I like to explain you quickly the features that are there and directly go. Then they also have an option to reconcile books versus government data. Many users who are using say Tally, there are Tally connectors. If you are using smaller ERP, there are Excel connectors where the data moves from your ERP to Zen automatically, and it is reconciled automatically on the Zen portal itself. Then there is another feature of filing the returns, right? So you can file GSTR 1, 3B, 9, and 9C. I want to file GSTR 9, which is my annual return. I want to file for the financial year 2021. I want to file for the financial year 2021. I would be selecting that. Okay. So it is simple navigation, very simple navigation, and you have to make sure that you just follow the steps one by one. You will follow the steps one by one. Okay. There is something called download GSTR 9 of financial year 2019 and 2020. If you notice this, all that we want to file is financial year 2021. But why am I asking the data for last 3 years? Friends, last year when you filed your GSTR 9, you would have said that some amount of the taxes that needs to be paid has been paid in the current year. So you need to know how much of the GSTR 3B tax paid in the current year doesn't belongs to current year. It belongs to the next year. You need to know. So you need to know the annual return of the previous year. Okay, fine. I understand previous year. Current year is obviously required. Why do I need it next year? If you notice, if you made any error in your GSTR 1, in the subsequent periods, you will correct it. These amendments happen in the subsequent periods. So you need the data for all the periods. So how do I download all this data for all the periods? Pretty simple. Click here to download GSTR 9 for the respective period. So a tab goes in. You have two ways of getting the data. Option 1, you can get using OTP. Option 2, you can get username password. So I have the mobile. I can get it directly using the OTP. So username is already fed in. So I just give. I get OTP on my mobile. I enter the data. Let me just. That you have logged in, right? So you can check and get whatever the data you want. So already a written summary for, I can actually check this corner box to get all the details, or I only want GSTR 9, I select this, or only I want some data for particular month of April, so all the periods. So however way you want, you can get it. So let me say I need the data for all the things. I'm just saying download from the government portal, and it will take if I have to say fraction of seconds for certain information. And as and when it is downloaded, that is processed, you will be able to see green ticks. Can you see that there are green ticks? So that much data is processed. Parallelly, I need the data for the financial year 2021. Let me have that in a new another window, and I am already logged in, so I don't need to log in again. Let me get the data for the 2021, and let me also get the data for 21-22. So I am going for 21-22, and let me get the data. So this is for the financial year 21-22. So let me just download. So right now it's November, some months it will not be there, so it will not be downloaded. That's okay. Let me click get the data for all the periods. Now, wherever the data, sometimes it would take minute max. Let it download. So it has downloaded for all the periods data. Perfect. Now all that all that I have to now do is let me see if GSTR one. Yeah, GSTR one. All the sections has been downloaded for 1920. But what is more important is 2021. So yeah, in 2021, I can see the GSTR one is downloaded for all the periods. Surya, is there anything you would like to add?
Make sure that there are all green ticks in that page. So, Venu sir, if you can scroll up, you can see some yellows there. Simply select all and re-download. So these things come up only after you download the summary. We will know that there is a B2B one. That's why the GSTR one B2B is not downloaded. So simply select all and download. The same for the other year.
All right. So I guess there are some green ticks. I think everything data has come. Especially, I'm only interested in 2021. So I got to make sure 2021 everything is in green tick, which means data has come. So everything has been downloaded from the government portal. So for the ease, let me close the other windows. And so what I have done is I have completed step one. So I have prepared the data. I have downloaded the data from the government portal. So I have to step two. So log in to the government portal with the OTP, and which I have already done. So okay. All right. So now let us download GSTR 9 auto calculator from the government portal. So why are we doing this? Now, if you notice, the government portal has some GSTR 9 auto filled. Most of you would have noticed. Let me just log into a government account. You would have filled, you have seen some tiles would have been auto filled. So when you log in the annual return section, you will automatically see that there has been the data which is pre-filled. I select for the financial year 2021. Okay, in this case, in our account, it is already filed. So, but once you click on, you have the data which is pre-filled. So what you can do is you can also compare what is the data which is pre-filled is correct or not. So that is what we have done. In my step two, I have downloaded the data which is there in the government portal. Now, step three, which is the critical step, most important step is like preparing your working data for GSTR 9. And there are two ways of doing it. Either you can do through Excel or through filling it online. I'll walk it filling on that online. So I can also download the Excel here. So this is a data for preparing GSTR 9. I have downloaded the Excel. Let me just open the file. Now, you can actually see the data which is already there in the government portal is collected, and with more information it has been, this is the data which we have downloaded, GSTR 9 template. You have firstly GST returns data. You have GST returns related data in, what does it mean? Various parts of the turnover ITC. Yeah. So you have the turnover. This is basically coming from table 3 of GSTR 3B. Then input tax credit from table 4, a summarized thing. Then there is a turnover computation. So you have all the data, and finally it is going to 2020-21 GSTR 9. Now, how do I fill the data into these details. You can actually download a consolidated report. This financial year, whatever you have downloaded 2020-21 from the government portal, you can download the consolidated GSTZen report, which is 1, 2A, 3B. All this information is going to be there. This report is required for filing of your GSTR 9, because you need to have a visibility of what is my GSTR 1 values reported, GSTR 3B values reported, and how much taxes have been paid. Because this confusion always exists in the people. What should be the source of data for filing my annual returns? Would it be books of accounts? Would it be GSTR 1 or 3B? In fact, I would say it is the turnover on which the taxes have been paid have to be reported. The payment could have happened through 3B, or it could have happened through annual return, DRC03, but the payment should have happened. So whatever the turnover on which the taxes are paid can only be reported. Now, this is the data which is downloaded. What is the data in one go, which we have downloaded from the government portal? Let me just show it to you here. You have multiple sheets. There is a link to all the sheets. Firstly, GSTR 1 summary is there, 3B summary is there, 9 summary is there. I am going to use this, and we will be using this and we'll be filing all the things. Then invoice by filing period, GSTR 1 invoices based on the filing period. If you have synced the data with your books of accounts, sales and purchases overview. So whatever the sheets and the sheets description are there. When I go to GSTR 1 consolidated, all the details, whatever you have filed is shown here, month over month. So in one go, you can get the total. Likewise, your 3B, a summary of GSTR 1, a condensed version. You can see calculated by GSTZen, basis the data that we have uploaded. It also has calculated the values. And main importantly, reconciliation between 2A versus 3B. Now, some of you might use 2A as basis for filing your 3B, but what is more important is 2B as a basis for reconciliation. Even that report also exists. So all this information is there. On a click of a button, as we were talking, I've just pressed that button, data got downloaded, and it is presented. If we have to do this manual access, trust me, it is going to take 2 days easily just to download, consolidate, and put it into one report. And we got this data in a minute or so. That's where I would always love this product. Okay, coming back now, how do I fill and file my annual returns? Going back to the GSTR 9, we have downloaded the Excel. Let me just fill this and explain it. Now, for filing of the annual returns, we clearly know that we need different informations. We need different informations that which is required for filing the annual returns. What is the different information that you require? The different information that you require is basically the books of accounts. What is your audited financials? What is your audited financial? So the audited financials, I would say, would be the start point for filing my returns. The audited financials would be a start point for filing my returns. So you can see there are a lot of tables for contents is there. First section is the details which you have already filled and filed in the GST returns. This is what you have already done. The part 2 is the turnover related data. Part 3 is input tax credit related data. So there is a logical screen design has been done. Basis the data entry, my GSTR 9 gets filled automatically. Let me start one by one. Firstly, portal is saying basis my data which is there in 3B. This is what you have filed. Now, one person actually asked me a question that I have here. What you are saying is 32 crores 66 lakhs as a turnover. Taxes have been paid correctly. Let's say 38 lakhs, 2.7, 2.474 is correct. My turnover is 40 crores, but erroneously I reported as 32 crores. How do I correct? Was the question. Now let's look at how do we that correct also. So while you are filling this on the screen, you can see two types of marks. there is one a pen mark and a bookmark. Whenever you are seeing a bookmark to a section, it means it's a read-only section. Pen mark is you can edit it. So you have the turnover declared, then input tax credit that you have declared is visible. If there is any data which is carried forward from previous financial year, in fact, in the previous financial year, I have said that there is so much of input tax credit, 39,000 IGST, 2,700 CGST, 2,700 AGST. This I have not availed, which I have to avail this year. I have reported it in my last year. So we have to see how that has been handled. Table 10 and 11 is blank. So I have not carried forward any liabilities. Here is a read, it is a write section. So I now need to report to the system because system doesn't know if you have made any payments through DRC03 and the cause of payment is the annual return. If you are making any payments, that you will be reporting it here. Hypothetically, I'll enter a value. Let us correct it later. Let's say for a value of 1 crore, and I'm reporting some 18 lakhs. I have not paid. I've just reported here. How do we address? How does this takes care? We will be taking care of it. Now, let us start with filling and filing of the information. Kanchana accounts just message that please repeat again. Madam, which section, if you can tell me, or you can put your question. Actually, preparation of GSTR9, we are starting now. You might say it's already 40 minutes over. We are starting now. Answer is yes. We are now starting preparing annual returns. First and foremost, let us start with what is my turnover in the annual returns. As per my financial statement, as per my books of accounts, financial statements, let us say my turnover is 32 crores. So I will have to report this value here. My turnover is 32 crores. Now I am reporting 32 crores as my turnover here. Okay. Then there is a direct income and other income. Let's say direct income 23 lakhs. I'm reporting here. Other income I have 78,143. So I have reported what is my turnover as per audited financials is reported. Now, this turnover has to be segregated GST wise because in the financials, what I have is a PAN wise turnover, but the GST for GSTR9, I have to create it PAN wise, GST wise. So now I can say out of this, some 50 lakhs is not this turnover. So automatically you can see that it is automatically reduced. So here in my example, everything belongs to this turnover, so I'm not reporting. In fact, system has automatically detected how many registrations I have. It has reported these are the registrations you have. Please segregate your turnover. After segregating the turnover, I now have to derive what is the turnover for the purpose of books of accounts and what is the turnover for the purpose of GST. Now, the GST turnover versus books turnover need not be the same. Especially in the service industry, it will not be the same. Let us say I have an opening unbilled revenue. I have an opening unbilled revenue at the beginning. So last year I have recognized revenue, let's say 2 lakhs, and I have not paid the taxes, saying that I not raised the invoice. So I'm adding the 2 lakhs. Let us say I'm in service industry, I have received some advances. I have to pay GST on advances. So I have reported additional 7,50,000 the advances that I have received. And I have the turnover which is shifted from one GSTN to other GSTN. Let us say I have 50,000 rupees. I have a turnover from Karnataka to Tamil Nadu. Now, this will not be in my financial statements. It is just I need to add it and create what will be the turnover. Likewise, I'll have to make all these adjustments. Let's say my unbilled revenue at the end of the year, let's say 10 lakhs. So we make adjustments in this fashion and derive at the total turnover for the purpose of GST. So we had a financial turnover, then just invoice turnover, and we arrived at what is the turnover for the purpose of GST. Now this GST turnover, I need to know how much is taxable, how much is exempt. Now, if you see in my Excel, I have multiple turnovers. Now, the turnover which is there here, according to me, only 32,66,000 is taxable. Rest is not taxable. Something is exempt, something is non-GST. So I am reporting out of 32 crore 90 lakhs, I have 32 crore 66 lakhs as taxable. Rest I am saying this is not taxable. Okay, if 32 crores is taxable, it is taxable at what rate of tax? You need to now derive and put it. So I need to find out what is the rate of tax for the turnover. Okay, sorry. The transactions without tax is what I have to report. So my transactions without tax is 2385,606. 2385,606. So the transactions with the tax is 326625. So 326625, I have to segregate rate wise. Now you can see 326625 rate wise, everything is 18%. So I'm just saying this is my 18% turnover. Now having said 18%, only I would be knowing what is the segregation between IGST, CGST, SGST. This is where I was saying that we can, all this, the data which we have downloaded will be very helpful. The GSTR1 data which has been downloaded, the GSTR1 data which is downloaded, you will have the GSTR1 by customer. You can automatically see how much is, how
Sales overview sheet.
Surya is saying that sales overview sheet is the most quicker information. You don't need to go everywhere. So the data has already been, let me just zoom it for
Column B, the columns to the right.
you can see this data, whatever I have downloaded, this has already been consolidated and kept. So basis my GSTR1 filing, this work has already been done by GSTZen. So I just go to the sales overview sheet. I pick this turnover under each rate and come. More than that, I also need to know how much is the tax. IGST is 3840,168. So I'll say IGST is 3840,168. So C&S is automatically computed. Perfect. I got my turnover, whatever is the rate wise. I should also know what is the turnover which is applicable under various sections. Something would be B2B, something is B2C. All those segregations is also required. Now, even this, you don't need to worry. If your books of accounts are proper and perfect, you can also directly go to your sales overview sheet based on the transactions they have already got. It says domestic B2B is 326625. So I'll say the domestic B2B is 326625. Now you might be seeing this negative because I have created that advances 7,50,000. So it's only for our explanation. I have put that date number. Let me put this as now you can see automatically this is nullified. So that's the beauty of using technology. So my B2B is everything is B2B, and my IGST, I am reporting my IGST. So CGST is 2 crore 74 lakhs. This way you segregate all your turnover, how much is to B2B, how much is exports with pay, SEZ with pay, deemed exports, B2C, all different classifications, you segregate the turnover. Now the next important that comes in is like, when did you pay this tax, how much you have paid. So basis my GSTR 3B, Even this has also automatically populated. You might remember that I have reported 1 crore DRC03 annual return. Even that data has come in. So let's just make this as 0. So if you see, this is what taxes I have paid. And it is saying that there's a small tax that needs to be paid. If there's a short paid, we can just adjust it and make the payment. This is a read-only section. This is a statement of fact. This portion, the top portion, what you are seeing, which I'm drawing, this is saying that this is basis whatever the information that you have entered now. This is what you have to pay, and this is what you have paid in the next financial year. And if you have not paid or adjusted in the subsequent periods, it is going to be reflected here. The net liability, what you are reporting in your annual returns, is automatically computed. So this is beautifully explaining those who actually don't know what is GSTR 9. You technically don't need to know this. They have beautifully drafted. So my GSTR 9 table 4, 5, 9, 10, 11 is completed by this section. How? I will explain you in a while. Then comes input tax credit. So I have to segregate my input tax credit. Now you may ask me this question that why should I segregate? You already have this data. Can you not segregate and do it by yourself? Now, what I have the data is GSTR as per 3B. What is the data that the portal is having is basis GSTR 3B. But your 3B might have some errors. Your 3B might have some errors. So you need to find out how much of the input tax credit is towards your import of goods, everything, all those segregation basis your books of accounts. You are writing it basis your books of accounts. You are reporting your turnover. So let me show you how do I report it, or how do I maintain it. Now I have in my Excel sheet, I have just segregated based on the books of accounts, how much of the data, how much of my data. So basically there is a tool in the GSTZen where it can read all the data, tally, sales register will automatically be extracted, read, and everything. My workings for the table is automatically prepared. So I have already done this. Let's say my input tax credit, this is all on account of the forward charge purchases. So I will say IGST input tax credit is so much, and let me see GST input tax credit. By the way, this is as per books of accounts. I am not going what is there in 3B because 3B data is already there. Now it is saying, is there anything brought forward? Is something which you have to claim in last year? Have you claimed this year? I will say yes, I have claimed some 39,416 here, 2,513 here. I am also saying how much I have claimed current year in which section. Is there any ineligible credit? Let me say I have some 50,000 rupees ineligible credits. Now it is now asking, have you reversed anything of the previous year credit in the current year? Let me say I have not reversed anything. See, these are all statement of the facts. It is asking some questions and we are prepared. Now, basis that data, the system has understood, and it is now saying, look, you have total credits, whether pertaining to current year, previous year, whatever, 17,44,000 credits is available to you. And in CGST, 2 crore 70 lakhs 15,000 only. What you have already claimed in GSTR 3B is so much information. Either you have extra claimed, either here you have extra claim or you have short claim. Please explain the difference, why there is an excess claim or a short claim, so that you can have a working and why this is there, whether you want to adjust in the next year. That explanation is looked at here. In fact, this is done in multiple ways. One, with comparing the net ITC based on your section 1, 2, 3. Then it is also comparing whatever which I'm carrying forward. So I can create a comparison as per the books. Once it is done, the gap between the excess to be availed or short availed is the gap is automatically written here. So it is saying that see 12,000, 34,000, 34,000 you have claimed extra. This has to be reversed in the current financial year. Please note, I haven't come for the 2A or 2B reconciliation. I am only going with what is there in the books, what I have done. Now, according to me, if the books are correct, this is the extra credit that I have claimed, which I need to reverse. Let's say hypothetically my books value, okay, here I have already claimed. So I can add some number in my books also. Let me say instead of 17 lakhs, I am saying here as 20 lakhs is my credit that's there in the books of accounts. Now, look at how this will show. It will say that, see, you have 20 lakhs worth credit, but you have only availed 17 lakhs. So 2,87,000, you missed out some credit. Please make sure you claim this in your next financial year. So system has automatically calculated and adjusted and reporting. It is like an instructions for you to act for the next financial year. And some of you might be wondering that, okay, you might be losing this conversation and as you are doing, you will forget it. Please don't worry. There is a YouTube version of this recorded session. You will get an access to it. You can watch it again as you are preparing it. Now, I have given this as an information here, but GSTZen doesn't automatically will do it for the purpose of GSTR 9. It has given you this information and it is now asking you, is this information truth? Have you carried forward? Have you availed something in the next financial? I will say, see, I have out of 34,000, I have availed only 14,558. 14,000. Okay, sorry, this needs to be reversed, right? So in terms of availment column, I will say I have availed 87,239. I have availed, and I did not avail anything in the next financial year. Okay, so I am reporting it in the respective columns. Basis this, it is now going to say whether any credit is missing, ineligible, all those data is auto computed. With this, my data required for annual returns. The part 4 section is the tables for annual returns. This is automatic, like this is filled. You can edit this at any point in time. For when it comes to input tax credit, we have to segregate inputs between input capital goods and input services. So even this segregation I have. So I have input services of 4413 and 268. So this segregation will be automatically done, and my RCM system also automatically is capturing. Okay, this is your RCM. So my RCM was on say GTA or the large services. So automatically segregation has happened, and the reversal, if any, currently there were no reversals, so nothing is showing up. Table 8, I will explain you little while. So table 8 is also computed basis R information. Sometimes you might feel that no, some errors are there. I want to work it on manually. Don't worry, I'll show you how to work it on manually also. Table 9 is auto prepared. The table 10 to 15 auto prepared. Let me save this workings. So I have done so much of the effort. I have saved this working. Now let me download this Excel file. Let me download this Excel file.
Can they hear you discuss?
Not hearing. Is my voice audible? Because one user again mentioned that I am not able to, my voice is not audible. Okay. So I would request again user PC to check at your end. My voice is clear. And also request participants to change your the system name, mobile name or whatever to the, so that we can address appropriately. Okay. And this is one challenge whenever we do webinars, because in a live session I am seeing you in front, but now I'm just here and I don't even know the reactions. Okay, now let us see the downloaded version. Let me tell you one other advantage of this downloaded version. This has all the data whatever right now we have seen. You have the GST returns details. Just let me just go to the next. Yeah. So my GST returns details, my turnover details, my ITC computation, and moreover the pre-filled GSTR 9. Now pre-filled GSTR 9 you have. But what is more important, the beauty of this, if you feel you want to make a correction, let's say I want to enter here some under B2C section, okay, and the tax liability, let us say some 25,000, 15,000, 1,500, 1,500, whatever. I have one beautiful option here for upload to GSTZen portal. Upload to GSTZen portal. You can see something called GSTZen here. When I click on this, you have this button upload the return data. So when I click this data automatically goes to the GSTZen. It successfully uploaded the GSTZen. So this data which I have entered here, it has uploaded. So the data, because finance professional, we are always comfortable with Excel. So if you can do it here, even it gets reported and updated here in this. So this is how we prepare my GSTR 9. Now, is that all? Is that complete? The answer is no. But you can see, if you can see here, there are various steps. Step 2 is complete. Step 3 is also complete. Step 4, so which is prepare filling of your GSTR 9. This is completed. So technically, we are done with my GSTR 9 data entry. Before you file, you want to see whether whatever you filed is correct or not. So you can also click on this button. You can download this PDF and check the data that you have entered is correct or not. Then table 17 and 18. Table 17 and 18, which is the HSN-wise summary. This you have an option to upload this. So there is an Excel where you can upload the data. Now you can see the data that is saved in GSTZen. This data has come in automatically. This is what is getting filed. So you want to make any corrections in this, you can always go back there and make the changes. Before filing, there is one other important, beautiful tool I will explain you, which is called validation. But let me show you the HSN summary. Let me upload the HSN wise data. So I can upload all my HSN wise report. Download the template. Let me download the template. This template has the requirement of what is my HSN wise information. This I can save it and upload. You might ask this question that, okay, can this also be simplified and automated? Again, that is possible. If you can go to GSTR1, which has been downloaded, the sales overview sheet where you have seen, next to that, there you have HSN-wise summary. Let me show you the HSN-wise summary sheet, which we have downloaded.
Challenge for that year is the rate-wise data is not available in GSTR1, but is required in GSTR9.
Yeah. So you have all the HSN-wise summary. You can just do a simple copy paste from this, and or you can make a pivot, copy paste and do it. we all know, effective May of this year, there has been some changes which happened in the GSTR1, where we have been reporting rate wise. Table 12 of GSTR1 earlier did not capture rate wise. Now the table 12 has been made a mirror replica. Even GSTN realized that okay, that there was a small correction required. So current year, which is 21-22, you can get it leaving the first month, all the months, the rate wise data. So here you get the HSN wise data. Thankfully, in our example, everything is 18%. I can just upload this onto the portal. So that's how you upload the HSN wise data to the Zen portal. So this basic preparation is very much important. Once you have uploaded the rate wise data to the portal here, you have to upload output. Input, this is a common question people ask, that how much I have to enter. Only if your input is exceeding, any one HSN exceeding 10% of your total purchases, then you have to report. Otherwise, you don't need to report. This is the next beauty of using GSTZen before you file. There is something called validate your GSTR9 for consistency. Validate your GSTR9 for consistency. Now, what is that validation? See, today we know the number of users in GST is 1.3 crores registered users. And it's practically not possible that each return be assessed, verified by the proper officer. So proper officer will be taking assistance of the system. Systems have been designed to identify if there are some errors and a notice, if at all, needs to be sent. So you have all these validations which are built here, which will say that, okay, if something is okay, not okay. By the way, this validations only for your information. It doesn't mean that if there is a validation fail, you cannot file your return. You can continue to file your return. Let us look at what are the validations. Firstly, liability in table 4 should match with liability in table 9. If you can see here, there is 38, 40, 170 and 168, like 2 rupees, there's 6 rupees, 6 rupees. There's a liability turnover and the liability difference. So one needs to make this correction manually. Then in case of my outward supplies, the value which is declared in GSTR9 table 10, which I'm saying that I have paid taxes in the next year. In my 3B of the next year, so much taxes should have been paid. In this case, I am not carrying forward anything, and next year I have already paid so much worth for 23 crores. Then input tax credit reversed during 21-22. Now I've just shown you how do I enter. So here I'm saying that 34,000 rupees is reversed next year, but Zen has already peeped into your next year returns, and it says that, see, look, you have said 34,000 you have reversed next year. You are reporting into table 12, but actually next year there is nothing reversed. I have already downloaded the data for next year. It is not there. So please go back and correct this. This seems to be an error. Then I have reported 2,176 as my input tax credit with reverse charge liability. But reverse charge liability I have not reported in table 4. 4G of GSTR 9, I have to report my reverse charge credit. It is not there. So likewise, there are all different validations that are there. You can see some are pass, some are fail. So just focus on wherever it is fail. Like here, let's look at this. If I report this 2176 in the table 4G, I should be able to get a pass here. So let me go back to my GSTR 9. Let me go back under the reverse charge liability. Let me fill this. Here I have to enter my reverse charge. Let me say I'll put it as purchase from URD. I have 2176. 12,478. I'll enter it here. Right. So this is how I am updating my liability. I have updated my liability portion, ITC portion. I have saved this data. I am going back. Go to the validation report and see my, now you can see my RCM is success. So I have updated my table 4, I have updated my table 6. Earlier this was showing fail, now you can see it is pass. So this is how you have to check before you file. Now errors always happen in urgency. So before you file, if everything is correct or not, just make a check and then go for filing of the return. So I have done with validation of the data. So my step 5 is complete. What is more important is step 6, which is like submitting and filing. So upload your data. Okay, yeah. One thing which I did not explain is table 2A versus 8A. Let me just download that and show that to you. You can notice here this table which I said I'll explain a little later. Let me explain this to you. This is common thing which people always ask. GSTR 9 table 8A has some values. 2A, ideally it should be coming from 2A. And by the way, it doesn't come from 2B, it comes from 2A because 2B will be about returns filed during the period. Like if March 21 report, your any of your customer, March 21 GSTR1, if he has filed in July 21, it would be there in July, your 2B of July. But if that being the case, that's a credit available in July. But for me to compare with my books of accounts, I should always look 2A. This credit would be there in 2A of March itself. So if I have to say table 8 represents the purchases made during the period, eligible, ineligible. So this is the report which you should look for. So it has multiple data. There is an overview sheet. There is ITC eligible, ineligible, invoices active, cancel, all those things. In your overview, you will get the data which is 8A versus 2A, because sometimes I get this common question. Sir, I see this data in 2A, but it is not there in 8A. Why is that? And very unlikely there would be data in 8A but not 2A. Then is the data which is there in 8A, whether they're eligible, not eligible. All this analysis again is done. Now, whatever you are seeing on the screen, all that will happen in the click of a button, all this data generated, analyzed, and put it. So if this is the 2A versus 8A, let me just apply a small filter. Now, is ITC eligible? You can see in most of the cases, yes, some cases, no. Wherever this ITC eligible is set as no, these values will not come in your 8A because these are a reverse charge credit, or sometimes the place of supply could be in some other states. So these are eligible. Now, does it mean all these credits are there in 2A? The answer could also be no. The place of supply is also one reason for ineligibility. In our case, the place of supply is everything is proper. Now, what is the matching status? There are some invoices only in 2A. Why are these invoices only in 2A? These invoices should have been there. The supplier would have edited this. Now you can see he has filed it after the due date. So he has filed it much later, or he has made an amendment to this. How can you say, sir, there has been an amendment to this? You can see there is a B2BA amendment. So the supplier, after issuing the invoice to you, has made an amendment to it. So that is why you have that much data is missing. The amendment would have happened after the due date within which they have made the amendment. So that is why you will be finding a difference. So for purpose of reconciliation of books for 3B, you always have to do 3B versus 2A on a longer scale period. Month on month, it is only 3B versus 2B because that much credit you are eligible to take. 2B, you have to look at quantum of credit that you can take in that month. Once you are done with that, so you got what is 8A, what was the original value, what was the amended, you have all this data, you made your analysis, you made up your mind that yes, okay, I am good to go for filing. Then you come back to this step for filing of GSTR 9. Let's come back to this step of filing of GSTR 9. Let me go here. Step 6, upload GSTR 9 to the government portal. So you can always download the PDF before. Again, I would always recommend download, print it, see, satisfy yourself and upload. Because GSTR 1 and 3B you can correct in the subsequent periods. 9 once filed you cannot correct. Now the data is getting uploaded to the government portal. Most importantly, the written data is uploaded successfully. You got a confirmation that your upload is complete. Government also confirmed the data validity. Like, why should the government confirm? There are some tables which are fixed, like table 8A you cannot amend, table 6A you cannot amend, right? So table 9 taxes paid you cannot amend. The static information. So government will validate whether everything is correct or not. Once you are completed with this step, then comes your submit return. Submit return, I am right now not doing it because if I do this, there is no look back. Once it is submitted, you cannot change. So before submitting, again, you can download the PDF. Please download the PDF. Check yourself, ensure yourself everything is correct. Once you submit, this file right now file using OTP is not activated. Once you submit it, you can just get this, click on this button, file OTP and file the returns. Friends, this is all the process for filing of GSTR 9. Hope you have a view of what are the tables that are required for filing of the annual returns and what is the information that you need to be ready for filing. Because at the moment you say that okay, fine, let us file, then you will start thinking, okay, where should I file, what is the information that is required, all those things would come up into the mind. With this, we have come to the end of session. So feel free to ask questions. In case you want to unmute yourself, you can raise the hand, we can unmute you, and you can ask the question also or put it in the chat. Okay, there's one question. Is HSN summary mandatory in GSTR 9? For the purpose of outward, yes. For the purpose of inward, only if you are inward more than 10%, it is mandatory. Any other questions?
Mr. Anvesh, I have unmuted.
Okay, Anvesh, you can.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, I'm from Excel Limited. Sir, I just one message I have sent. I need your contact number, sir. Number one, and number two, what will be the tax liability we fail to submit the annual return within the due date?
All right. So if you don't file the annual returns within the due date, firstly, there is a penalty for late filing. No, under GST, 100 rupees per day per act. So 100 rupees CGST, 100 rupees SGST. And this late fees for not filing can go as high as 0.25% of your turnover, which is really a pretty scary number. So it's always recommended file it on time. Second, get your annual return be reviewed by a professional. Use a software so that you make less mistakes or no mistakes. Once filed, you cannot correct your annual returns. And on the contact thing, you can just drop a mail to GSTZen. Request Surya, Bharti, or anyone to share the contact details on the chat. Any other questions? Thank you, Milind.
Hello.
Yes, Shivkumar.
Yeah, hi sir. Just wanted to ask that is the STSN summary on outward and inward? Both, if inward has a limit, but outward doesn't have a limit. So outward HSN summary is mandatory, right? In GSTR.
See, the first 3 years, the department gave an option of not filing it.
Okay.
This year, the department did not give anything, and I would recommend you file it.
Okay.
But
so
even if you don't enter it, the return would go through.
yeah, that's what I was asking. That it was not showing any error at the time of upload.
Exactly. Even if you
But I
don't
think
file it,
from
it will go
21,
through.
22 it will be mandatory.
Correct.
Correct. Okay. And one more thing, just wanted to ask that right now the due date is 31st December. So
As of now,
so it might get extended, right?
might get extended.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
Hi, Vinu.
Hi.
Yeah, so actually I'm using the GSTZen software only to file the GSTR 9.
Very good.
However, it is showing figure under the B2C.
Okay.
Basically, our total sales is under the exports. So we export the software services without payment of tax under LUT.
Okay.
But it's still showing somehow it's showing under B2C supplies.
Okay, so in the data entry section, somewhere where you have the rate-wise segregation, tax type-wise segregation, there you should have you should be selecting a right screen where I have shown you. Let me just go back and show you.
Can I possibly share the screen?
Yeah, I'm just showing you where you have to do the data entry. So you have segregation of the tax type wise segregation. There are multi ways you can do it. So this section, the segregation.
Section 3.
Yeah.
Okay, section 4 to 5. Okay, 4, 5, 6.
I'll show you. That is one you can do it, where you can do a data entry. Yeah, you can see here. You are saying that exports without payment of taxes you are doing.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to do exports without payment of taxes. You will be entering the data here in this section here. After doing the data entry, still
sir, where exactly? Can you just go on?
One second. You have this Excel, which sorry, there is an Excel issue. Right. Yeah. I generally recommend after doing the data entry on the portal there, you can always come back here and here in this, you can make the changes. Like I have entered something as exempted, nil, non-rated. So this you can see in the blue color is like I am unable to segregate. So I will now say a 0 rated would be some 85,606. Then I will say supply to SCZ is some 15.
Actually, there I mentioned there is a in the online, right? The online.
Yeah, either online or here you mention it, and now you upload. Yeah. So now
So you're recommending I should download the Excel utility.
Yeah, I would always
Excel
recommend.
utility and then click on
Yes,
return upload.
you can enter in this blue section and upload the written data. So now this got uploaded. Now after uploading, you can go back and you can go back. And there is one more data entry section, which let me show you that. So here you can refresh the data. Okay. And after this, the data that will automatically come here. Even here you can fill it. Even here there is a section you can, this is a data entry. Can you see that whatever I have entered in Excel there, that has come here automatically.
Yeah, correct.
All right. So even here I can further change. I can make this to 10 lakhs and 5 lakhs. So the flexibility that has been given, because one section, if I have to go back, let me just save the form and let me go back. Thanks for asking this question, because many people don't know. See, this, I want you to consider this as only working paper to prepare GSTR 9.
Okay, okay.
After you prepared the working paper, you have come here. There may be if I include everything in the working paper, then it would become little complicated. Right now, people feel, oh, there's too much work. But honestly, I would say there is no too much work. Again, you can view and fill later. Even that option has been given here. So there are multiple ways of doing the data entry. Hope this answers the question. Any other question? In fact, I have put the support ID details here. You can contact. Question from Ramanuj: is CA certificate mandatory for financial year 2021? Absolutely no, not required. But my personal recommendation, please get it reviewed. Now, GST law keeps changing, notifications, circulars, so there's so many things that come up. Most of the times, something we miss out. And that is where when an external eye watches it, then you will be actually protected, because later once when a notice comes, under GST, the officer would always say, no, you knowingly you made a mistake, it's a fraudulent transaction and the penalty is equivalent to the tax amount. It's better to save those mistakes. Any other questions? Kadrivel, he has put a question to me, wrongly input as CGST, SGST instead of IGST and make a debit note in subsequent month. Can I correct input if I can show anywhere in GSTR line? Kadrivel, again, very important question. Many people do this. See, I have a sales return. Ideally, I should reduce my liability. I treat it as credit. I have a purchase return. I should reduce my liability, but they make it as taxes. I have CGST and SGST credit I have taken in IGST. In the next month, they are making a debit note and paying the taxes. See, there are procedures to do correction of the returns. And how you corrected the return, accordingly, you can take care of it in GSTR 9. Think GSTR 9 is the last opportunity for you to correct. Can I correct whatever the problem which I have stated? Answer is yes. Looking at the magnitude of the mistakes, I will advise how it needs to be done. But a straight answer to your question is it can be corrected in your annual returns. All right. So there seems no question. We have come to the end of the session, and I thank GSTZen for hosting a webinar on knowledge sharing, especially on the annual return, which is the time for everyone to file it, and developing a software which actually eases many professionals and taxpayers for filing annual returns. So I thank GSTZen giving me an opportunity to share some of my knowledge on this, and thank you. Over to Bharti and Surya if you have to communicate anything.
Yes, thanks to Venu for being a part of this webinar. Privilege to have him associated with sir, and thank you all for attending this webinar. Get in touch with us for better solutions.
Thank you.